そんな程度の学力で行けるような大学は行ってもしょうがねえよ、こういう大学に入ったからこういう就職先があるよという意味で言えば、実は今の日本の大学組織っていうのはですね、おそらくもうマイナス側のバイアスなんですね。つまりその投資に対して見合うものは得られないということになってるんだけど、この行っても無駄な大学に、金を失うだけの大学に親が行けと言ってくれるのなんて、おそらくあと10年も持たないんだよ。
In Japan, there's a type of university that everyone looks down on, that just admitting you went there can hurt your job prospects, even before the interview starts. They're called F-rank schools, or F-ran daigaku. And today, I'm breaking down what the label actually means, and why it's a lot messier than the lowest ranked school. Quick context on why I'm telling you this. I used to work in corporate recruitment in Japan, and I've experienced this firsthand. I went through job hunting in Japan as a university student in 2023 and 2024. So later when I became a recruiter, I knew exactly what the university line on a resume really meant. It wasn't just trivia, it was literally how candidates were filtered. And that's the first thing you need to understand. Going to university in Japan still matters a lot. Getting to a good one still shapes your job options, especially if you're aiming for a big name company as a new grad. Just like in a lot of countries, universities here are ranked, and where you graduated from still counts. Japan still runs on what's called gakureki filter, or academic background filtering. And before I forget, if you want to learn more about the realities of Japan, both the good and the bad, please consider subscribing.
大学行った方がいいか、別に行かなくてもいいかですね、2択でですねちょっと考えてみようか。まずは、皆さんの意見知りたいのでですね、アンケートを取ってみましょう。行った方がいい 64%、 行かなくて 35%。 まあ真面目に答えちゃうと、大学行った方がいいかっていうのは、偏差値が65以上だったらそれは行った方がいいよってことになるよね。で偏差値が40代とか50代ぐらいだったら、そんな程度の学力で行けるような大学は行ってもしょうがねえよっていうのが、僕の中のかなり本音の部分なんですけども、僕自身も偏差値が全然優秀でもないんだけども、一応大阪電気通信大学というですね、本当になんか最近はもう僕が行ってた頃はマシなんだけど、昔は本当に入試の時にですね、名前を書いただけで通るような大学に一応ですね席だけは入れたんですよ。
So here's where it gets specific. F-rank means that the school's standard score is unrankable. It's so low that test prep agencies can't even assign it a score. If you're not familiar, Hansachi is a number that shows where your score sits compared to everyone else who took the same exam. Basically your relative position, not your raw score. The average sits around 50 to 54, so if you want to go to a good school, then you should aim for 60 or above. In fact, if you check this video, it shows the university average that popular companies hire the most. So this is solid evidence. When looking at private universities in Japan for liberal arts, it's usually grouped as Soke Jori. It stands for Waseda, Keio, Sophia, and Tokyo University of Science. Just below them is the A tier called March or G March, which stands for Meiji, Aoyama Gakuin, Rikkyo, Chuo, Hosei, and Gakushuin. Moving into the B, you have Nitto Komasen, consisting of Nihon, Toyo, Komazawa, and Senshu Daigaku. On the public university side, Todai sits at the absolute peak, alongside with Hitotsubashi. When recruiters review incoming applications, seeing a school name from these top or the A tier like Soke Jori, G March, or even solid B rank schools like Nitto Komasen is solid. But seeing Todai is like a mythical pool. Was the knight in shining armor in your movie? You'll instantly get a ticket to the interview rounds. But if your school falls completely outside these recognized groups into the F-rank territory, that initial baseline trust just isn't there. That's why automated application tracking system screens out those resumes before a recruiter sees them. It's because recruiters know that F-rank schools don't have a Hansachi at all, so there's no real competition to measure. That's why they're also called border-free universities. Basically, anyone who applies gets in, because students don't even need to pass an entrance exam. And that's exactly where the reputation comes from. In Japan, when you say you're from F-rank university, they think anyone can get in, and that's already a bad rap. This is a part that most people don't know, and honestly, this is the most interesting part for me. Rewind to around 1965. That's when the baby boomer generation hit college age, and Japan suddenly had way more applicants than university spots. Entrance exams turned into an absolute bloodbath. exams weren't just testing whether you were qualified. They existed specifically to filter out a massive, oversized applicant pool. Even schools that ranked lower back then still required real academic ability to get in, simply because so many people were competing for so few seats. So, what changed? Japan's birth rate collapsed. Fewer young people means fewer applicants, which means average students who in 1965 would have landed at a mid-tier university can now get into what is used to be a top-tier school. Back in 1965, university was mostly a man's game. Women barely cracked 10% enrollment, so men were basically the only ones competing, and most of them were chasing STEM, since Japan was in the middle of its industrial boom, and companies needed engineers. That upward shift left the lower-ranked schools starving for applicants. To survive, they had to lower their standards just to fill seats. And that's how yesterday's mid-tier colleges quietly became today's F-rank schools. It's basically inflation for education. The degree looks the same, but worth less. It's not that these schools got worse at teaching. It's that the entire applicant pool shrank, and they ended up at the bottom of a much smaller pyramid. So now, the game for them isn't selectivity. It's survival. Target as many students as possible, keep the seats filled, keep the tuition coming in. You've probably heard how brutal Japanese entrance university exams are. They basically mold a kid's entire childhood. Instead of hanging out at the mall or going on dates in middle and high school, a lot of students are studying nonstop just to get into a good university and land a job their parents can brag about. But here's the thing. Just because it's easy to get into F-rank schools, it doesn't mean that students skip the entire entrance exam itself. Admissions still run through different paths, just like private universities. There is Eiyo Nyushi, a holistic process, extracurriculars, essays, interviews, shiteiko suisen, recommendation slots reserved for specific high schools, and Ippan Nyushi, the standard general exam. And yeah, for some F-rank schools, like the ones I mentioned earlier, you basically just have to show up on exam day and write your name. Your actual score doesn't even matter. But that's becoming less and less common because these days, the best way to get into F-rank school is through Eiyo Nyushi. If the reputation is so bad, why do students still enroll? Honestly, it's rarely the first choice. Most students land here after they don't get into the school they actually wanted. F-rank becomes the safety net, the one place they're guaranteed admission, so they can still walk away with a bachelor's degree. And on paper, that logically makes sense. A bachelor's degree still matters in Japan, especially if you want that corporate job. I think that the Japanese education culture is not just toxic, it's BS. It genuinely feels like a whole facade trying to make the Japanese population look educated, when in fact, culturally speaking, we're better at following orders rather than having liberal arts mindset or having critical thinking. If you type in Japanese university or Japanese university students, what usually comes up is, what do I wear for university in Japan? Like your daily fit. This is why a lot of people say if you go to a 4-year Japanese university, it's basically like a 4-year vacation. Even in the A-tier schools, there's a lot of kids who don't go to class. And in the F ranks, I'd be surprised if they even had GPA systems, to be honest. The public opinion on these schools is that they're kind of a scam. College in Japan is seen as a gateway to a decent job. But that's not true. When most F-rank schools are allegedly inflating their postgraduate employment rates by including part-time workers into the mix. Here's a genuine survey that should be conducted. What is the percentage of F-rank college graduates who get a job that requires a college degree? I remember Charlie Kirk saying in America it's about 50%. In Japan, I wouldn't be surprised if that's actually 20%.
College is a scam. Could you elaborate a little bit more on that? Do you believe college is a scam?
Yeah, half this audience, if you guys get a job, will end up getting a job that doesn't require a college degree. Any business that has a 50% rate of a customer being scammed will be shut down by the federal government for disenfranchising their customers. You went to Chili's, like, hey, 50% chance that our fries are going to give you food poisoning. This is just a glorified credentialing exercise.
Yeah, and that's what you're paying for, but therefore it's not
okay,
scam.
so it's not education. You're just paying for a piece of paper so you can get a job.
And education. I mean...
Oh, is it education?
It is education.
What does that mean to you?
Resources, learning how to work, learning how to move around a professional workforce.
You need to go to college to learn that?
Yes, I'd say so.
I think you're being scammed, man.
I don't...
Take it from someone who didn't go to college. You don't need any of that stuff.
F-rank colleges are kind of a scam. Not all of them are as bad as their reputation gives it to be. But out of about 800 universities in Japan, how are there 500 plus of them are considered as F-rank universities? And for some reason, they're still not out of business. Maybe that's the real story here. It's not that these schools are tricking anyone anymore. Everyone already knows what an F-rank degree is worth. It's that in a country obsessed with credentials, having something on paper still beats having nothing at all. And as long as this stays true, Japan still thinks that these universities don't need to be good. They just need to exist. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. Our community is growing little by little, and it's all thanks to you guys. Bye-bye.